Dawson Rider with you.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode 19/18, the penultimate episode. And I'm trying out a different camera angle, but you might see the old one in other videos because sometimes I record these things out of order. Damn it, Barry. This actually, I think, was one of my more favorite episodes in terms of the premise. I thought it was a really fun one. I definitely think there was lots of things in it, or at least mainly one thing in it that could have been expanded on. Because there's a couple different things going on. So the basic, like, initial premise, or not premise, but one of the first things we find out about is, like, Steel wants responsibility for, like, a pet, and Nate gives him a plant to take care of. This is just fun. This is one of those times where I'm describing the plot and I sound insane. I'm talking about a really mundane show. But he gives him a plant to sort of prove that he's responsible, and that sort of, even though that's like a filler plot setup, it's like important to the core of what happens in the episode, which basically involves the villains messing with everyone's mind to make it seem like Blaze and Roxy were never taken over and they are the Red and Yellow Rangers. And there's this really cool sequence where they're like, oh, this is like what everyone thinks happened, and they show like the scene from the pilot, but Blaze and Roxy take off the helmets and they get to be in the suits. And that was just like a really cool what if moment, and it's gonna be a cool thing to possibly display with the Legacy Collection. I mean, I know we can do it with Blaze because he's got a figure on the way, but come on, hashtag Team Roxy, let's get that figure going. But that was really a really cool moment just to see that like on kind of a shallow level. Like, I liked seeing that. And it was like a cool premise. I mean, basically they just used it to infiltrate and use everybody like Zoe and them to help them load the equipment that they needed, which was from the previous gate, which was a cool callback. And then also Roxy plugged in a USB to herself because she's like, oh man, I forgot to download the playlist from my brain. That's not what happened. Basically, they just needed to get into the base, and that was a clever way to do it while convincing everybody that they were actually friends. And like, then you have one of those classic premises where there's somebody that remembers, and that somebody is Steel, and he's trying to sort of fix everything. And Devin's like the main guy that he tries to convince of this, and Devin sort of goes along with his journey and, you know, discovers the courage within himself without his memories, and morphs without his memories, but then regains them. There could have been like a really cool two-parter out of this. I think it would have been cool to see sort of all the Rangers sort of fight their way through and sort of discover their courage without the memories, and sort of helping and morphing without knowing what they are yet, and sort of maybe having this bit about them not knowing to fight exactly, but they wanted to try. I think there was a lot of potential there. I also think this would have been a really cool story if, and I don't know if this is in the realm of the villain's abilities, but if it would have been almost a reality-altering one, kind of like Dark Wish, and I would have liked to actually seen Blaze and Roxy as Red and Yellow. I think that would have been cool. Like, honestly, I don't think we'll ever get to see that. I think in Season 2 we might get to explore them a little bit with the consequences of what happened at some point, depending on if they turn back or one of them turns back or whatever. But I think that that would be cool to see because, I mean, it's an interesting premise. I always thought that was cool, that they were supposed to be Red and Yellow first. But like, Blaze was like an automatic jerk from the beginning, kind of like Jared in Jungle Fury. So it made sense when he turned evil. But Roxy seemed genuinely sweet. Like, she didn't seem to have that sort of, you know, jerkish quality that Blaze had. And testament to her actress, she did a really good job of playing like this really nice person in the first episode, and she's like really great, like deliciously evil throughout the whole show. So she did a really good job at that. But that's something I wanted to see, and you can sort of see what I mean about this premise being ripe for a lot of really cool concepts, but it just was one part, and it was kind of underutilized. Even though I liked it, I think there could have been a nice two-parter here on several different levels. Also, something I want to note that I completely forgot to mention every time I reviewed the episodes for the Australian airings, but when Steel does a stunt scene, they have like a stunt head that's like way too large and flat and really noticeable, and I find it to be really distracting and hilarious, and I had to point that out before I forgot it. But basically, Steel tries to get everything going, and that proves his responsibility by the end of the episode, because he's like, oh man, I lost the plant, I guess I'm not responsible. But then Nate's like, well, you basically took care of Devin and the whole situation and tried to fix everything, so you are responsible. And then he got a dog and gave it away. So it was kind of a nice way of tying in an early filler premise with what the main premise of the episode was. So I really liked it for that. and I thought that was kind of a neat way of doing it. And then they kind of wrapped up some of the Vargoyle stuff when they fought with the speed, and it kind of felt underwhelming given that we built it up to be like, oh, he's got all of our powers, and then they only used it once, and then they used the Go Busters version, which was just speed versus speed, even though he'll probably come back later. But that was fine. It's just, I kind of wish that that had amounted to a little bit more with how built up it felt. But overall, I did think this was a strong episode. I thought it had a good premise and good moments. I definitely think it was a premise ripe for more. Like, they could have done so much more with this episode, or even a two-parter, but I still really enjoyed it, and I always like seeing the villains take a proactive role as well. But overall, solid episode. I would give it an 8. Anyway, that's about it for this one. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications from my videos. Till next time, Dawson Ryder, signing out.